What's up, everybody? It is the one and only Mr. Perspective, Doug Bennett, host of the hottest DMV podcast out there, Conversations with Comedians. You see the shirt. And what do we have? We got a special interview with a special individual. My man, the BX's own, Mr. 718 Joe Hill in the building. What up, Joe?
What up, Doug? What up? Sparks flying, you know, all that good stuff.
Yo, man, we want to thank Joe for taking time from his busy schedule. His busy schedule. You know, Joe is on his tour right now. Somebody got to hear this tour. Hey, Joe, go ahead and fill us in, man. What is the something that somebody got to hear from Joe Hill?
I say this. I know in life we all do stuff and we all grind, we all hustle, we all are doing things to better ourselves. And I think in life, anytime you keep consistent at anything, it could be the most simplest thing to the big thing. And it's something in your career as an artist. After a while, if you keep staying consistent, somebody will hear you and that opportunity will come. So staying consistent, you know, and that's where that came from for somebody's got to hear this tour. And I've been doing it for a long time, Doug. So I'm at that point where somebody got to hear.
You know, what you said was key because it's reminiscent of Keenan Ivory Wayans. I remember he was on an interview one time and he said, just keep moving. You'll get somewhere. He said, even if you take one step a day, you're a step further than where you were. So I applaud that mindset and that mentality because a lot of people out there, they get discouraged because they feel like, oh, man, I'm doing this for nothing. I'm running on the hamster wheel. I'm on the treadmill. And no matter how fast I run, I'm not getting nowhere. But lo and behold, you getting somewhere. So I applaud you for that, Joe. Thank you. All right, man. So let's go ahead and get this started. As y'all already know, my man Joe Hill is a native of the Boogie Down. So my question is this, Joe. Why did you leave Kennedy's Fried Chicken to go out to California where they got Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles? You ashamed, brother? Is that what it is?
You know, I love me some chicken, Doug. I'm gonna say that. I'm gonna start by that. And it's so many options. You know, you got Popeyes. You know, people don't know about Roy Rogers, but that's another.
Hey, let's not go too. They ain't ready for that. They ain't ready for that.
But no, I think when the pandemic hit, I was kind of in that phase where, like, just like everybody else, trying to be creative and trying to find ourselves. So the West Coast was that space to kind of, how can I say, tap in to what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And kind of when you get away from being comfortable. Hold on, Daddy's on the. Look,
hey y'all, we got the Prince in the building. The Prince is in the building.
What you want?
You better get him some fruit snacks.
Anything, you know, to stay consistent and to find out what it's going to take. I felt like I had to get away. I had to get away from the comfort zone. When I say that, moving to the West Coast allowed me to be more focused on comedy and just be in a different realm because, like you said, born and raised in the Bronx, I've just been there from birth, and I just felt like getting away was what I needed. You know what I'm saying? So
I feel you. So let's do this. Let's start with your origins in the Bronx. All right. I have family out there, so I know like New York is a second home for me. So my question is, when you go from New York, the hustle and bustle, the grind, the 24/7 grind in New York, and you go out to the West Coast where things are a little bit more laxed and everything like that. Explain to me how you made that transition as seamlessly as you had.
I think the biggest thing is relationships. I think you know that in life. I think, you know, having people that organically that you can count on, you know what I'm saying, in these different places, wherever you go. It's a tour in itself. So, you know, and I think that's the thing for comics. When you go to these places and you have to be reliable. You have to, you know, you have to network because you want to come back. I want to keep coming back.
How much of a grind it is.
They don't. And like you said, it's a residual thing. If you got these relationships, you just create your own situation to where you have an ecosystem of, you know, resources, you know, quote unquote, in these different cities. So that's for me, that's what it is, you know.
And I love the the biology flex with the word ecosystem. I like that. I love that. Birds of a feather when they pollinate and cross. Well, we'll get to that in another episode. All right. So, what I know that according to your bio, you say a lot of your influences is the late great Red Fox, Sinbad, Bill Bellamy. Now, what aspect from each one of those greats games do you gravitate to? And then secondly, how do you make sure that it's authentic and sincere to Joe and you're not emulating them?
I think you think about it like this. These guys that you just mentioned, and there's one more, Robert Townsend. The reason why I bring those guys up because I think they were centered around comedy and so to speak, and Red Fox being the oldest of them all, Sanford and Son, by far an OG show that people don't talk about enough.
Nearly enough.
I think
Joe, we're experiencing a little.
When everybody else is watching comedy,
Joe, we're having a little.
Can you got me now?
Brother. Yeah.
There you go. I'm in the house right now. So I feel like with those individuals, they've been a part of comedy, in the forefront of things, right? So when you look at Sinbad, think about it. Sinbad was in movies, before we even knew what that looked like, what that comedic, Mike Epps looked like, before we, that light-skinned, brother. So for me, it was seeing those faces and really kind of looking at, their different times and why they shined in the game. So yeah, all those you mentioned to me are still, Meteor Man. Robert Townsend took it to the production to where, people are making comedy movies now,
Yes.
So
I remember Robert Townsend had his show back in the day. Only the real remember Robert Townsend's show when he had that trench coat and that Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego hat on. Hey, only the real remember that joint. Only the real.
Right.
All right, y'all don't understand. This was long before he was Duck.
That's a classic.
This is long before he was Duck.
Bro. He even laughed.
We are right now conversation with comedians, Mr. Perspective Doug Bennett interviewing the great and talented Joe Hill. He got the Prince on his shoulder right now. So
yeah, can't let me just. He wants some shine. He wants some shine.
He wants some shine. He wants some shine. Tell him, Lil Joe, light skinned brother's coming back in style. Tell him, Lil Joe. Tell him. All right, so let's say this. You start out in the Bronx, rough, tough neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? There are very few civilized places in the Bronx. Anybody who's been to the Bronx know this. What kept you in the direction of comedy and not venturing into other avenues?
That's a good one because the Bronx is those that's watching and those that really tap into the Bronx. It's a cultured city, a cultured borough, whether from music to acting. So, I think comedy just blends well in the music world of the culture of New York and being from the Bronx, and the arts and the film. So I think, being funny blends well in the realm of that. Because look at, from Fat Joe, Cardi B, Jennifer Lopez, there's so many talented, musicians, artists, but, comedy is something where people don't know that. There's a lot of people that came through the Bronx too, so.
Okay. All right. So I get you. I'm about to test your Bronxness now. About to test it.
Here we go.
You ready?
Okay, let's go.
Dead in the middle of little diddy we go. Hit it.
Come on now.
Deep cover. Come on. You telling me you don't know deep cover? Oh.
Hold on. Now Listen. Don't flag my account because I don't know the lyrics word for word. I
can't believe this dude, man. Hey, like I said, man, we having a good time. We are out here with this is Joe Hill. So, Joe, you are right now on you released your 4th EP, which is called Back for the First Time. Now, that's your 4th one. Your first one was Who the Fuck is Joe Hill? What I want to know is, how has this journey changed? Who is Joe Hill on this 4th EP? that Joe Hill wasn't on the first?
Oh man, I think in each album, like you just said, I've definitely grown and changed a lot, whether it's, my mental, whether it's things that, happen to have changed me in my life. I'm a father, I'm an educator outside of comedy. So it's a lot of changes that happened from the first album to now. But this last album, right. So, kind of bringing that evolution to life as an artist, but back for the first time is almost like that lap around the sun. You've been doing it now. You've kind of seasoned. You see how the business is. You see how the mechanics work in comedy. So when I say back for the first time, it's almost like, okay, we've done this already. We've been doing this. Now let's give them the fresher version of where this all started. So kind of like the evolution of Joe Hill. Yeah,
absolutely. I always tell people this: I'm far from a vet in the game, but the distance is equally lengthy from me being a rookie. I always say that.
There you go. There you go. Because every album and every EP, you have to grow and a piece of you has to evolve. So yeah, definitely on that.
Absolutely. Either evolve or die. Either you adapt or die. So I definitely get that, man. And I see your career is thriving. As a student of the game of comedy and knowing it and tracking it and thriving in it the way you have, what do you see the difference in comedy and the evolution of it post-pandemic as opposed to pre-pandemic?
I've done a lot of interviews and nobody's ever phrased it like you just said it. When I say that, I say it like this. The pandemic was a reset, right? It was a reset for every level of comedy. I mean, even actors experience this. Artists experience this. There was a reset. So the last 2.5 years, as much as I've been traveling and still trying to stay relevant, there's also the folks that haven't been out and they haven't been watching comedy. And if they have, it's what everybody's been watching, the Dave Chappelle's. But that's what the mass has been spitting out. But you haven't been going to clubs. You haven't been going out like that. You haven't been going around to see. So I found once the reset happened, it was actually, if you was working before the reset, you was ahead. Because when the reset happened, it was kind of like people were like, all right, I forgot how this works. Let me see who is funny. Let me kind of go on social media. So, and in a lot of ways, it was a curse for a lot of those comedians that was getting phone calls was ringing in. That phone slowly for a year, 2 years, those calls weren't coming.
So explain the nature of the word, of how you use the word curse. How do you, because I've seen comedians say that it has definitely put a dent in their business, but I've never heard anybody use the word curse. Curse is a very strong word. Why would you use that word?
Well, I say it to give you the full perspective of it. The gift and the curse is both. The curse, obviously, we lost a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? In general, that's the grand scheme. But the curse in the art form is we didn't have as many resources. We didn't have any platforms to be consistent besides social media. You didn't have the shows, you didn't have the skits even. It was just social media, saying funny shit or posting funny shit. So it's kind of like, once the cities start opening up and you were able to get back around, that was your time to make a new impression on a lot of other fans that might have forgotten who's funny. You know what I'm saying?
So
it was almost like a great audition for the comics that may not have gotten those opportunities before the pandemic. But post-pandemic is lit now. Now I could be everywhere. And my, that aura around you is a little different because now they're like, oh, this is the person I've been looking at. You know what I'm saying? For the last 2 years. Okay.
Now, the one thing that I've noticed is that, and correct me if I'm wrong, give me your opinion on this. It appeared as though there is an influx of comedians more so than ever. Do you feel as though, or do you believe as though social media has assisted, helped, or hindered the art of stand-up? The actual art of getting on stage?
I'm going to say this. At first, my perspective on the internet comedians, and when I say internet comedians, those are the ones that started strictly only on the internet making skits. That's a different level of comedy, making somebody laugh for 10 seconds, 30 seconds, 60 seconds. I come from a place where I can get on the stage and do 30 minutes, 45, an hour, and hold your attention versus 60 seconds. So I can do the 60 seconds thing too. But does that translate for that internet comedian? And before the pandemic, I was big on like, you know, the skits are cool because yes, it gets you exposure. Yes, you reach audiences, you know, without even having to touch a stage. But at some point, you're gonna have to get on stage and you're gonna have to do you're gonna have to get off the camera phone and you're gonna have to do this live. For the audience, punchlines, you know, look, callbacks, misdirections, punch-ups, crowd work. You got to do that in a 45-minute set. And not only that, you got to sell tickets.
Yeah.
It's not just posting it because you got 5 million followers. Can you get 280 of them consistent? Now, I'm not saying every comic needs to, but can you get a decent 100 of those just to come out everywhere you go? Now, if you can, then you good. And we've seen that already, but it was tough. But going back to the question, I think I respect it more because now I see how you can reach people in about 30 seconds. So for me, it's actually, I see it as a gift now because I'm like, if I can just use TikTok to get your attention and just see me on that little clip, I'm already torn.
Joe, we having system issues. I don't know.
Already.
I don't know. I think Joe using T-Mobile.
As soon as I go by the door. No. You know what it is? As soon as I get off the house Wi-Fi, the backyard Wi-Fi is like, nah, stay your ass in the house.
Yeah, man. Why? No. Joe using T-Mobile. See, Joe done got out there. Joe done got out there and realized the value of a buck that he can't get in the Bronx. You understand that? So now Joe done downgraded from Verizon to T-Mobile now, y'all. That's what he done did. Conversation.
I said, to stay in the house. I'm in the house.
Doug Bennett, and we are talking to the very funny Joe Hill. Now, Joe, you are host of the Afterthoughts podcast, correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, it seems like everybody has a podcast now. Like a person has a bad bowl of cereal in the morning. They like, let's talk about this. Let me get a podcast. And we're gonna call it Cheery Hoes. Like, nah, right, bro. Like, tell me what it is your podcast brings that is different from the plethora of podcasts that's already out there. You hear that word plethora, y'all? Plethora.
First of all, Doug using SAT words, using plethora out here, and he ain't even talking. I will say this. First of all, shout out to my co-hosts, JP and Tiff Tonto, holding me down. The podcast is something that we try to, a lot of times things happen in our society, whether it's entertainment, pop culture, music, comedy. And a lot of times you don't really have the time to process it. So the Afterthought itself wanted to be that, giving you time after some shit done popped off, we come in with our tape and we give you the afterthought. Like when the Will Smith thing happened, everybody needed to go to bed and wake up and process that. You didn't want to report right away. You wanted to be like, did he wake up and be like, did he really smack him last night? Like, did that?
Like, hey, you better watch it. I'm still on the East Coast. You out there with, hey.
Listen, I don't condone it. Like I said, I'm on the side of pro Chris Rock. It shouldn't have happened. Listen, it happened. So the Afterthought podcast is always that lane where we have guests come on and, you know, we talk to the culture, music, comedy. So yeah, we got to have y'all on. Especially we got to get you on there, Doug. We definitely got to get you on.
You send the word out, man. I'm gonna be there, man. I got to be there for you, man.
I got you.
Speaking of that fateful incident, I want to talk more about what seemingly is being perceived as an attack on comedic expression. We have entered an era where it appears as though the very rights and privileges we laud or praise will be the very rights and privileges that could get your behind canceled. Censored at the very least, and nobody seems to be off limits to it. Like they're even going after Dave. And my question to you is, Joe, has that deterred you in your comedic expression, or has it made you more determined?
I think Dave paving the way for everybody, for comedians like myself, it's given us hope, encouragement to speak our truth. I think. And a lot of our facets of life, we try to sugarcoat and we try to just give you what we think we want. No, I think the truth is what's going to set everybody free. I think we're the mirror to what you're thinking, what you're seeing, and what you're feeling, what you want to say. It's an art form.
Sugarcoating it. That diabetic dialogue.
Exactly. We just have a way.
Diabetic dialogue.
You know, dog. We just have a way of being able to perform it in a way that's so poetic that it hits you so hard that you get mad. That's the art right there. That I can. Words ain't supposed to hurt you. Remember that? They taught us that.
Yeah.
Words don't hurt. It's not supposed to break your bones, but the minute a comedian say something, but bent out of shape. But if you look at the world and the way it's going, even with Beyonce's new album, they made her take out the word spaz. It's like, really? Like, come on. Like, freedom of speech here. This is our expression of art. So again, you've seen it in so many ways, but for me, no, it's just saying that I'm gonna go out there and do my thing. I'm gonna talk about whatever. And listen, I'm gonna let the chips fall. You know, I'm with Dave on that. So
I'm with you. I'm definitely a supporter of freedom of expression because it's crazy to me. It reminds me of what my uncle said. The same thing make you laugh, make you cry.
Right.
And it appears as though we live in a world where everybody wants to be offended. Like it's almost like being offended is the new thing now. Being offended is the new, like, hey, I'm offended by what it is you say. I'm offended, but it's like, but I let you live your life. I let you live your truth, but I can't live mine. And it reminds me of what Ricky Gervais says. How arrogant of you to believe that you're going to go through life without somebody disagreeing with you.
Exactly.
Like Ricky Gervais said, he said, how arrogant of you to believe you're going to go through life without somebody disagreeing with you. You obviously ain't never had a girlfriend. Like, you obviously ain't never had a woman. You ain't never had a woman. All right?
Listen,
that woman I know, boy, she lives to disagree with me. Baby, it's chilly outside. I'm going to wear these shorts. I'm going to wear these shorts. Girl, I know you see the rain outside. No, it's not. No, it's not.
100%. Like, okay. 100%. You know, right, we live in a world that we do have to compromise to a degree, but I think I'm not compromising my art. We already sensitive about our shit, like Erykah Badu said, but I'm not compromising what I love to do in my art form for the mass and how you feel. Just turn it off or don't watch it.
Hey, I feel you on that. Now, speaking of art form, our paintbrush and our canvas is a microphone in a crowd.
Right.
And one thing I'm starting to see is that everybody feels as though they see the Picassos, the Michelangelos, the Leonardos, they see the Monets, they see them out there painting. And then all of a sudden, everybody think they can grab this brush, grab a canvas, and make a Mona Lisa. Do you feel that the influx of today's comedian does not realize the work that goes into this art form?
I mean, that's my beef too. I blame American Idol. I blame the audition round. I blame that. So I feel like, you know, it's so crazy because, like you said, you know, everybody wants to do it. You know what I'm saying? And everybody wants to, thank you. Everybody wants to be a part of it, but it's different being up there.
You?
Yes, sir.
Up in the
Nah, you good, man. Thank you. I'm ordering. Look,
hey, man,
look,
be ordering no DoorDash.
Look, just walking in, people just, you know what I'm saying?
But no, ordering DoorDash in an interview and won't even offer nobody nothing. Hey, I know we got a metaverse. Give me a metaverse wing. Give me like a metaverse drumstick or something.
Just a little.
Yeah, a metaverse biscuit.
Listen, think about it. Everybody watching Michael Jordan play basketball, right? But not everybody can go out there and be that and excel to a level. Yeah, you can probably be close to it, LeBron, Kobe, but ain't nobody gonna really replicate that. So I think it's a sport, you know, and everybody has their own style. Everybody has their own moves and go-to jokes and things of that nature. But I just feel like it is a lot of comedians or folks trying to do comedy, but at the same time, it's like, it's not easy. It's not easy, you know? It's not easy.
And the one thing that I'm realizing being on this, because I don't even consider, I say I'm aspiring, because I believe one thing about me is I'm a proud PK. Everybody knows what SBK stands for. And the Bible says that
okay, come on now.
Not have I attained. See, because I'm in my pastor's chair. This is my pastor. Not
come
that
on,
I
pastor.
have attained, but I continue to press toward the mark of the prize of the high calling.
Right.
Amen. So
of the high calling.
As we continue to press towards that mark, the one thing that I notice is that people feel as though I always tell people this, and see if you understand where I'm going with this, Joe. There's a difference between being funny and making people laugh.
Oh, yeah.
A crackhead is funny, but that don't mean I'm going to put him on stage at an open mic. Because there's only so many laughs you're going to get for asking for $5.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
There's only so many laughs you're going to get for asking for $5. Before somebody say, okay, we need to progress to another joke. Leroy the crackhead, Carl crackhead. Right. So my thing is, what do you feel about that? Do you feel as though people believe just because they're funny, they can make people laugh?
That is a thing. I call it a thing. That is a thing. But it's like I said, going back to earlier, when you get out on them stages and you start to, after 5 minutes go by, 6 minutes go by,
and it's quiet, and it's quiet.
Whoo, and you hear this. So what y'all doing? Where y'all from? Y'all related? Y'all couple over here? Okay.
Do you got kids? Do you got kids? Like, man, they're serious. That's why I'm telling women.
Shout out to the water. Shout out to the water in the kitchen. Shout out to the water.
I've been telling women, y'all don't understand. Them 5 minutes that y'all be sitting up there talking about ain't enough in bed. You better think of that shit like a stage. That shit is long, boy, when you ain't getting the reaction that you expect.
You better.
When you ain't getting the reaction that you expect.
But you know what? When you've been doing it, and it happens. But I think in comedy, sometimes, that's how you know you're in the right field, because I've been blessed to be doing it for almost 15, 16 years. And there's nights where you go 45 minutes and the 45 feel like 15 minutes.
Yes.
So there's a spectrum to it. And it takes time. But listen, just quick story. I remember the first time I bombed, I was opening up for Keith Robinson. Yes. Comedians bomb. It happens. Now there's levels to bombing.
Oh,
but I was opening up for.
Joe, tell them about the levels. Tell them about the levels.
There's levels. There's bombing because the crowd thinks you are trash and you are not making no laughs. Then there's the expectation of you bombing in your head as a comedian. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not doing as best as I know I can. Maybe it's the jokes ain't hitting, but I was opening up for Keith Robinson and I heard somebody in the back go, all right, so what we doing after this? Because this motherfucker's trash. I was like, oh. I was like, oh, whoa, okay. When you can hear the whole conversation. When you can hear the whole conversation in the back. Oh, hold on. I got to write some better jokes here. Like,
bro, I bombed so bad. Somebody said, I paid a babysitter for this shit. I was like, oh, man. I said, I know the children are our future. But right now I'm thinking about my past experiences on what led me up to my present. What is going on?
Right? Like I might have to reimburse this lady at the end of the night. God damn.
I did so bad one night, I got mad at my guidance counselor from high school. My guidance counselor said I could be whatever it is I wanted to be. I was like, no, I can't. No, I can't.
Talk about that's funny. That's funny, Doug. That's funny.
Serious, man. Hey, so let's switch over to you as a comedian, a writer, and an actor. Now, I was watching the Shop podcast the other day, and it was talking about Jay-Z and how he wrote. Shout out to LeBron James and all of them doing a great thing with the Shop. And they were talking to Jay-Z about how he wrote Still Dre and how he had to write it in the voice of Dr. Dre. As a writer, how do you channel the character of the person you're writing for so they're authentic to themselves and not sounding like Joe?
Well, I think when you're writing something, whether it's for a sitcom, a pilot, web series, I think you got to think funny, relative funny. Don't just think what you think. You got to write for the crowd watching. You got to think your audience, your demographic. So a lot of that comes into play. Then, of course, being cultured and knowing when helps you in that. But yeah, you never want to write just for yourself. You want to write for the mass, and you want to be tapped in to the culture. So paying attention to what's funny and what's happening, and tying that in will even make the jokes and the writing even funnier. So
I feel you on that, because I've always been more fascinated with the people behind the scenes, because that's a lot of work. You know, like to sit up here and write in the voice of the character that you're not even playing, but being able to identify with that character.
It is. It's tough. It's not easy.
That is something special. So I definitely wanted to speak about that, because it's always easy writing in first person. You know what I'm saying? Right. Like it is. Like I tell people all the time, a writer is like The Rock. Like you got to talk about yourself in the third person. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, so it's like when you sitting there writing, it's like, Joe Hill says,
right. You got to think third person. You got to think third person, and you got to think of the people watching it. You know, what's the age? What's really, you know, the folks, the demographics in the audience plays the best role. So
absolutely, man.
Yeah.
Oh man, this has been a pleasure. Let me transition, Joe. How much of your personal experience goes into your comedic writing? Because there are several, let me backtrack. Because there are several types of comedians. We got our punchers, our one-liners, our monologuists, our ranters, our storytellers. What actual category do you put yourself in? And how does your personal life play into what it is you put on stage?
I will say this. Experiences shape you as a comedian. Experiences shape you as an adult. So I think you want to definitely bring everything. You want to be yourself. You want to be organic. Tell your stories. I'm a father. Talk about your kids. Talk about being in a relationship. Talk about the dumb stuff we do as men. You know what I'm saying? Talk about.
First and foremost, Joe, I got to stop you there, because men don't do nothing dumb. Everything we do, there is a justifiable reason on why. We don't know what it is, but there's a justifiable reason on why. That's the red pill for today. All right, continue, Joe.
You know what I mean, Doug. Doug, you know, man. But yeah,
man.
I think that's what it comes down to. You know what I'm saying? I think there's a science behind it, and I think your experiences shape you more than anything.
Absolutely.
And who am I to hold that from y'all? You get what I'm saying? Who am I to hold all that great stuff that we think about and we see? Come on, I got to share that with y'all.
Yeah. Who am I to keep these jewels to myself?
Got to, man. Got to.
Yeah, I feel you on that, man. Absolutely. So I always tell people, look, I'm a veteran. Until the VA start paying for my therapy, y'all gonna be my
until it start coming, right?
Y'all gonna be my Dr. Phil today. And some of this stuff ain't gonna feel too good to say. All right. So let me go ahead and get that out of the way.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
So as somebody who's been in the game for 15 years, Joe, you've seen a lot that come, you've seen a lot that go. What has led to your longevity and your perseverance? Because if you know, Joe, being in entertainment, period, it will chew you up and spit you out if you do not have the resolve to stay with it.
Yes, sir.
So for I know everybody's like, well, Dave Chappelle's been in for 30. This person been in for 40. You got to go to 15 years before you get to 40. So I want to applaud you for your 15. But I also want to ask you, what challenges have you experienced on this road to 15 and possibly 16, 17, and so on?
Balance. Whether it's family, work, doing what you love, balance. I can sit here and tell you all the things that probably but balance is by far the hardest thing, and it will discourage you because you got to find balance. You got to constantly find balance in what you love versus the priorities as an adult. You know what I'm saying? Because one go hand in hand with the other until you get to that threshold where you would just say, I'm good. You still got to put that work in. So balance for me has been tough, Doug. Just mastering that. You know what I'm saying? And finding that time for self-care. Self-care. We on the road. We eating all types of BS. We probably not getting all our sleep. We're trying to make people laugh. We don't even know. The shit is psychotic. I mean, it is when you really think about it. We go into these places, you know, sleeping on couches sometimes, and it can be discouraging. But I think balance is what helps, you get through all that, knowing that you're doing it to become a better comedian, to get that great opportunity when it comes. So balance,
Absolutely.
man.
Absolutely. That balance is something else, man.
Yeah.
And I would like to, that's the reason why I don't go to church now, because I'm doing it for time served. I did all these already, so I'm trying to balance it right about now. That's why I'm not going to church. So just in case this feed get to my mama, she know. All right, so I'm trying to balance it. So let's backtrack. Give me a little bit of your upbringing in the Bronx. Like, we talked about it earlier. We touched on it, the melting pot that New York is. Mm-hmm. Where did Joe fit in? Were you a square peg in a square hole, or did you find yourself being a square peg in a round hole? Where did Joe fit in his time in the Bronx?
Culture kid. I always loved the arts, and I never really followed the in crowd. I always did my own thing as a young kid, whether it was working, earning my own, or doing stuff. So for me, it was always being that culture kid in New York City, and finding my power of talking to people, my power of bringing people together, my power of being funny, my power of writing. So for me, it was just like in that comic book, finding out and that I can do these and have these skills that God has blessed me with, and through business, whether it's comedy or music. So for me, that's what it was growing up. Always is just, whoa, I could do this, and learning that as I get older, things start to come to you more. And it's really what you do with all that is what matters the most. So that's been the dope thing on this journey for me.
I feel you, man. I applaud you on that, man. Joe, we gotta get ready to wrap up. I can talk comedy. I can talk comedy all day, man. I love it. We definitely gotta link back up, man. I'm a DM you some information and everything, sir. Man. Maybe we can do a live show. Man. We just talking trash and whatnot. Just speaking our mind. Yeah. See, we gotta have some decorum and etiquette on Zoom.
Yes, sir.
Now live, whatever you hear, we can turn up. Is what you hear. You understand that? But Joe, let's wrap it up. August 18th, you will be in the DMV at Arlington Draft House.
Yes, sir.
What does the Joe Hill fan, what can they look forward to on August 18th? Because if they coming out on a Thursday and school just started, and you asking them for a babysitter already, knowing that their child is probably deficient and stupid, and you asking them to put their education to the side to come see Joe
I am.
What are they gonna see when they come out there?
Let me tell you something. You're gonna forget you got kids. First of all, that's the best part.
Hey man,
you're
gonna be at the show
anyway. Laughing, talking about, wait a minute, I gotta go home. It's still early. Damn it, where you going? Where's the next city you gonna be at? Great show. I mean, not only am I headlining it, and you're gonna get to see not only what you've been seeing from the videos, but seeing me live. People have been seeing me in other cities, and they're like, when you come into the DMV? I haven't been there in 5 years. So you need to come out. And the cast, one thing about a vibe, about a comedy show, yes, you can have the headliner vibe, but I got some amazing, funny ass friends. I got D-Lo from Baltimore. Woo! I got my homegirl, Patrice DeVoe from VA coming through. My guy, K. Smith, Shannon Battle is making a homecoming. It's a crazy lineup.
Yes, it is going to be off the chain. Trust me, I know those women personally. D-Lo from Baltimore. Listen, anybody watching this, do not think that you can outsnap D-Lo. Do not think that you can outsnap D-Lo. I was at a show one time, and D-Lo called a woman Tammy Faye Baker. That was a name I ain't heard. I ain't heard that name in years. You understand me?
Right on.
So I'm definitely and before I let you go, am I gonna be on the VIP list? Because I'm up past my bedtime, Joe, sitting up here interviewing you for the culture, brother. Right now, my direct deposit.
I got you, Doug. I got you, Doug. Just show up at the door and tell them you're my father, and you will get in. All right. Don't we look alike? That's my son. That's my married name, Bennett. This is my married name, Bennett. Okay?
You know I come back around once he made it big. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Now his mama can't stand in my way. Hey, I got you, man. I had a great time. Hey, thank you so much, Joe. Let the crowd know your information, where they can find you, where they can follow you, and also your upcoming dates and information on your tour that you're on right now.
Appreciate you, Doug. You can follow me at This Is Joe Hill on Instagram. This Is Joe Hill, the website. I'm on Twitter. I'm on TikTok. Like he said, I'm going to be in Arlington, Virginia this coming Thursday. Then Friday, we in New Jersey at Arugas. And then I'm back on the road. I'll be on the West Coast. I am actually featuring for the OG, the very funny, top 5 in my book, and probably the rest of the world, Tony Roberts in Sacramento, August 24th. So when I leave the East Coast, I got to get back and do some runs with him. But I'll be with the OG, probably, in my opinion, one of the funniest dudes who needs a new special on Netflix. I'm featuring for him at Laughs Unlimited, one night only in Sacramento. So stay tuned. I'm going to have him give y'all a shout out, all that. All right. So I appreciate y'all. Just follow me and keep supporting the journey. I appreciate y'all.
Much love, man. Hey, that was the fantastic, funny Joe Hill. Right now, he's got to go and get some fruit snacks for his baby. Hey,
you see him, right? Tearing up. Look, tearing up. Look, tearing up.
Hey, as always, man, you know me. I'm Mr. Perspective, Doug Bennett. Conversations with Comedians, the #1 comedy podcast in the DMV. Once again, thank you to my guest, Joe Hill. And we will see you at the Arlington Draft House, August 18th. If you ain't doing nothing, you better come out and get your laugh on, because you will not be disappointed. All right, y'all. Yes, much love, Joe.
Appreciate you, Sandra.